paid for by True Heights Treatment. The role of psychotherapists in advancing world peace, past efforts and future potential in a world grappling with war, political polarization, and systemic injustice. The notion of world peace can feel like a lofty dream. But beneath the global headlines and international diplomacy efforts lies a quieter, often overlooked force with the potential to transform conflict at its roots: psychotherapy. Psychotherapists, trained in healing individual trauma and promoting emotional regulation, hold powerful tools that can be scaled beyond the therapy room. Their knowledge of human behavior, communication, and reconciliation makes them uniquely positioned to influence peacebuilding at local, national, and global levels. A history of engagement. Psychotherapy meets peacebuilding. The intersection of psychotherapy and peace isn't new. Throughout the 20th century, various movements and figures have drawn connections between psychological healing and social harmony. Carl Rogers and encounter groups. In the 1960s and 70s, humanistic psychologist Carl Rogers facilitated international encounter groups aimed at bridging deep divides, including Protestant and Catholic communities in Northern Ireland. These gatherings emphasized empathy, active listening, and emotional expression as tools to reduce hostility. Psychologists for Social Responsibility (PSR) formed in the early 1980s during the Cold War. PSR was created in response to the growing threat of nuclear war. It promoted the idea that psychologists had an ethical responsibility to apply their knowledge to prevent violence and promote peace. Trauma recovery in post-conflict zones. More recently, psychotherapists have been instrumental in global initiatives to support mental health in post-conflict societies, such as Rwanda after the genocide or Bosnia following the Balkan Wars. Trauma-informed care has become a central component of reconciliation and rebuilding efforts. Why psychotherapists matter in peace work. Psychotherapists understand what lies beneath human conflict: fear, unmet needs, historical trauma, and shame. They are trained to hold space for difficult emotions, encourage perspective-taking, and repair ruptured relationships. These micro skills, often practiced one-on-one, can have macro consequences when applied to communities or nations in turmoil. Here are several domains where psychotherapists can be influential. 1. Conflict mediation and dialogue facilitation. Therapists can act as neutral third parties to help opposing sides navigate complex emotions and narratives, fostering understanding rather than escalation. 2. Trauma-informed peacebuilding. Long-term peace isn't sustainable without addressing the psychological wounds of war. Therapists play a critical role in designing systems of care that help individuals and communities process grief and loss. 3. Policy and advocacy. Mental health professionals can advise on policies related to education, policing, refugee integration, and criminal justice, advocating for trauma-informed, nonviolent approaches. 4. Intergroup relations and de-escalation. In polarized societies, therapists can facilitate workshops that improve empathy and reduce dehumanization between groups with opposing ideologies. 5. Training the next generation. Psychotherapists can integrate peace education into schools and community programs, teaching emotional intelligence, conflict resolution, and resilience to young people. A call to action: scaling therapeutic wisdom for peace. The challenges facing the world, from climate anxiety and migration crises to racial injustice and authoritarianism, require more than political solutions. They demand a cultural shift rooted in empathy, emotional regulation, and healing. Psychotherapists, by virtue of their training and ethics, are already agents of change. But the profession must become more vocal, visible, and organized in promoting peace as a legitimate extension of mental health work. Institutions can take the lead by partnering with peace-building organizations and NGOs, offering scholarships for therapists from conflict-affected regions, hosting conferences that explore the psychology of peace and reconciliation, engaging in public education about trauma, polarization, and emotional resilience. Conclusion: world peace might sound like the domain of diplomats and activists, but psychotherapists working in quiet offices and community clinics may be among its most vital contributors. By bringing psychological insight to the social fabric, they help individuals heal, relationships mend, and societies move forward. The road to peace runs not only through treaties and summits but also through empathy, understanding, and the therapeutic process itself.